best is yet to come, and babe, won't it be fine?
You think you've seen the sun, but you ain't seen it shine.
Hello everyone, welcome once again to Ask the Treksperts, the show where we answer your questions about Star Trek. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Sarah.
Sarah, it's been a while since we've done a show.
Indeed.
We're back. Here we go. We've been super busy. We found a little bit of time.
Way too busy.
We're going to do an Ask the Treksperts.
Yes.
Today's question comes from Skyheim, who asks us to talk about time travel episodes. He says, what is your favorite time travel episode of Star Trek, and why? And Sarah and I got to talking about this a little bit. And we were having a tough time deciding, each of us, what our favorite time travel episode was, because we started getting into a little bit of disputes about what is a time travel episode and what is and do time paradox episodes count, because there's a lot of manipulating time episodes in Star Trek, be it ships or people going forward and backwards in time, be it what we like to call the stuff that never happened episodes. Mm-hmm. The episodes where you have a causality loop. There's even several of
where
those.
Time stands still in one place and keeps moving forward in another place. I mean, it's just. And then episodes like Time Squared, where Picard is just a couple hours ahead of the Picard we see on screen.
Yeah,
I mean, where does that fit?
Yeah, what about that episode of Voyager where the time on the planet is going faster than the time up on the ship? Yeah. Up on Voyager. And stuff like that.
A lot of playing with time in Star Trek.
A lot of playing with time, yeah.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is, just so you know, we didn't actually choose beforehand. We thought it would be almost more fun to do what we usually do before the show, on the show. Which is, usually we kind of talk back and forth or sit with a piece of paper and write out a list and try to figure out what our choices are when we do these kind of. This is going to be a list where we're going to pick one, but this time we decided let's go through the series and talk about some of the time travel episodes and time paradox episodes that stand out. Mm-hmm. And then by the end, we'll each try to throw out what we think is our favorite time travel and time paradox episode. I think it's impossible to really mix it all together, because if we just say time travel but we pick a time paradox episode, somebody's going to go, well, that's not really, nobody's really traveling in that episode. So, so we're going to kind of do what we usually do before the show on the show, and that's going to be the show, and we're going to start with TOS, work our way forward, and understand we're not going to mention every single episode that messes with time. That would take too long and be impossible. We're just going to throw out a few that jump to mind right away. That doesn't mean we've forgotten about the episodes. We just don't want this to be an hour show.
Yeah, definitely.
So let's start with TOS.
TOS.
What time travel or time paradox episodes really stand out to you from
Well,
TOS?
I'd say that the big major one that almost everyone points to is City on the Edge of Forever.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's the big episode. A lot of people say it's their favorite episode of all of TOS. I mean, that's the big one. Mm-hmm. For me, I don't think there's really a time travel episode in the original series that I can really get behind.
Really?
I mean, they're not bad episodes. Let me say, I don't think any of them is really even a bad episode that I would consider, but they just don't stand out. There's so many other episodes in the original series that are just so much better for me.
And time travel just as a concept doesn't jazz you anyway, right?
No, it doesn't. It's like giant robots.
Now, let me just say, first of all, that I have the same thing that Sarah has sometimes with time travel, but I friggin' love giant robots. So, or at least, well, not as like a character. You know what I mean? Yeah. I've never been really big into things where it's like it's a show about a big giant robot.
Yeah,
but big giant robots attacking things, that's kind of fun.
Yeah. Now, see, I can get behind certain giant robots, just like I can get behind certain time travel.
But it's got to be like a particular kind of thing in Stellar.
Exactly. It has to just kind of go above and beyond for me to be interested.
I would say that probably my favorite time travel episode in TOS is City on the Edge of Forever.
Sure.
I wouldn't say it's my favorite episode. I get why people love it, and I think Harlan Ellison, while a lot of people don't like him, he is a great writer. He had a lot of good ideas. And anyway, so City's probably my favorite of TOS, but certainly not my favorite overall. You got episodes like Assignment Earth, which is a really good pilot for some other show, but not a Star Trek episode.
It doesn't feel Star Trek, but it is quite good.
It is quite good. And then you have Tomorrow is Yesterday. I think is the episode where they go back to 67. And that's the one with the astronaut that they bring on board. I've only seen that a couple times. I don't know it that well.
Yeah, I saw that maybe a couple months ago, and I hadn't seen it before.
Did you like it?
Yeah, it was kind of weird, and in some, it was different than I expected. So, but good. in some ways, it kind of reminded me of the Ferengi, going back to what's it called?
To the Roswell.
To the Roswell incident
Right.
in DS9.
Mm-hmm.
But there were a couple parallels that I drew. But yeah, it was interesting. But I would say out of all of the time travel episodes in TOS, the City would be my favorite of them.
Let's go to TNG. TNG unusually did fewer time travel epissodes than a lot of the other shows did.
Yeah.
And it did more time paradox kinds of episodes.
Yes,
and
and
those are
those
some of my
ones were
favorite.
awesome.
Yeah. You throw out your favorite.
Okay, I would say my favorite would be Timescape, if you count that as a time. It's just kind of messing with time episode, really.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where
So-
time isn't being manipulated as much as another
It's
thing.
just
Is
an anomaly,
because it's
a
a weird
time anomaly.
Yeah.
Where the Romulan ship looks like it's attacking the Enterprise. There's a
Although,
fight.
let's be fair, the cause and effect, that's an anomaly, too.
Yeah, but they're actually still, they're looping it. It is a paradox still.
I
and
see
they
what you're
could,
saying,
they
yeah.
could be stuck there forever. But that's my second favorite.
Yeah, whereas in Timescape, you just have these pockets where
Yeah.
time's moving at different speeds.
Yeah, and so from Picard's perspective and the other characters on the shuttlecraft, it looks like the Romulan ship and the Enterprise are just locked, stuck in
I gotta
time.
say, visually, that's probably the coolest thing they ever did with time manipulation.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
And TNG was great for the Romulans anyway.
I remember being a kid and being really taken by that episode. That's one of the ones of all of them that really had images bore into my head. The
Yeah.
biggest being the phaser beam hitting Dr. Crusher. That's a really cool image.
Yeah.
And they there was a lot of mileage with that episode. They really took it and ran with it.
Yeah. No, I remember really having that episode really having an impact on me the first time I saw it.
But when it comes to time travel, just your traditional, let's take the crew and throw them to some other place, there's really only one.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Well,
I mean,
All Good Things, kind of, except that
It's
All Good
Q.
Things is not a really real time travel,
Yeah.
because it's Q's anti-time. Now, Q claims that if Picard doesn't do a certain thing, that it's going to destroy the whole universe, but it's difficult to tell just how serious he's being there, and it seems to be more about teaching him a lesson. So,
Yeah.
so yes, that is definitely time, Picard jumping around, and I certainly like it more than
Time
the
Zero.
real one, which is Time Zero, and
Yeah.
I don't care for Time Zero.
I don't like it at all.
Here's what bugs me about Time Zero, just from a Trek continuity perspective. Time Zero, and tell me if you think I'm right about this. Time Zero and City on the Edge Forever have one major thing in common, and that is that I think it's pretty much the only ones really, the only episodes where in Star Trek it seems like time moves linearly, where you can't really go back and change anything. Where if you went back and changed something, it got... Well, no, that's not true. Actually, now that I think about it, because they could have changed something back in City, right?
Yeah.
That's actually the
City is
episode
the
that
normal time travel.
established that you
Yeah.
could go back and change things. Forgive me for saying that.
Yeah, but Time Zero.
Time Zero, in
is
fact,
more like
then
the Harry Potter.
is the only
time
one,
travel.
or even H.G. Wells' Time Machine,
Yeah.
where if you go back and change something, you actually changed it in history every time. There are no
Yeah.
multiple timelines.
Yeah.
And you go look at Enterprise, not that I want to use that as the gold standard, but
Yeah.
you go back and use Enterprise, and they take the Star Trek time travel to the furthest degree, where there are multiple timelines going on all the time. The sphere builders can look at them and figure out which ones are doing what at any given point, right?
Yeah.
So, anyway, sorry I said that, I forgot. Yes, City, you can change things. That was the whole point of the end of that,
Yeah.
was that, if you don't save her, then you mess up history. I mean, if you save her, you mess up history.
Yeah.
So, that's the biggest time problem for me with Time Zero, is that it doesn't make any sense with the rest of Star Trek.
Yeah.
It's also goofy, in a bad way. Like,
Yeah.
It really does feel like just another excuse, and they took a lot of them in TNG, to put our regular characters in some period clothes and let them run around outside of the standing sets.
Yeah.
But we had holodecks for that. We didn't need time travel
Yeah, and the holodecks were used quite often in TNG. So.
for that. What don't you like about Time Zero?
A lot of what you said, I just don't like the concept. I don't know. It just doesn't do anything with me. I wasn't a big fan of Mark Twain's character, and I don't know. I liked Whoopi Goldberg, Guinan, the way she met Picard, but I don't know.
It was okay. Again,
Yeah.
the problem with the way she meets Picard, that's the thing. That's actually the problem, even though it's kind of interesting, is just that that's supposed to have always happened.
Yeah.
and time travel never really worked that way. But it could have been really cool had they done a follow-up to it. It's just that Guinan didn't get any character stuff after that, and so it was kind of a throwaway two-parter in a lot of ways. Well, anyway, let's move on. So I would say that for actual time travel episodes with TNG, for me, it's all good things, because there's not much else to latch on to. I'm with you on Timescape. I also like Cause and Effect, but I think Timescape is actually a better story.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
and
I totally agree.
there are absolutely others. You mentioned at the beginning of the show, Times Square, stuff like that. Okay, DS9, there's
DS9.
really only one amazing one in my head.
Okay, which of the two?
And that I like the Roswell thing. It's okay.
No, well, I was thinking the two I like are the one with the Bell Riots.
Yeah, but that's what I was going to say. Yeah, Past Tense is great.
But then there's also Trial and Tribulations.
Trials and Tribulations is fun. I mean,
it's really fun. It's not.
Yeah, it's really good, and it's really amazing from a technical perspective.
Yeah.
But I still don't think for time travel there's any beating times. What can't I think? Past Tense.
Past Tense, yeah. Yeah. No, I agree with you, but it's close for me, just because Trials and Tribulations is just so fun.
Mm-hmm.
Past Tense is brutal in some ways, because it's like you're following along Cisco, and really, it's more of an emotional ride for me. You know?
Oh yeah, fair enough.
So
no,
it's do I want to laugh and have a good time, or do I want to have more of a serious sort of episode?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Yeah. Of course, what I love about that is that it really cements how the history is supposed to work. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like we hear about World War III, and this is kind of the lead up to that. You know, we hear about the eugenics wars, we hear about the rough patches of the early 21st century, mm-hmm. but to get to go there and actually experience it, it's so important in the greater annals of Star Trek to get this sense of. You had to have this really dark period before you could get to Utopia.
Yeah.
And I like that.
Yeah, no, I certainly appreciate that, and it's a good episode for it.
Yeah, Trials and Tribulations is all kinds of fun. And those were really the three.
Yeah.
Then you've got some time manipulation going on there with things like Children of Time. You remember that? With the later generation. That was, you remember that?
On the planet.
On the planet where the Defiant lands, and then they
find
out that they have some. It was they've. There was a weird time thing, and then they have kids there, but they're old, but they're grown up, and they're generations of them.
I liked the stuff with Odo and Kira a lot.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah.
Conceptually, I think it was way better than execution, but.
Yeah, but I liked it. It wasn't bad.
Voyager, we could do a whole freaking show on. An entire show, because there's a lot of... In fact, so much time travel in Voyager that they felt the need in Relativity, which we've reviewed on the show. They felt the need in Relativity to make fun of the fact that Janeway is always screwing with time.
Yeah, before Enterprise, Voyager was the time travel show.
Absolutely.
So.
Or at least it felt like it. But anyway, what's funny is the episode that's remembered most for being a good time travel episode in Voyager is not even time travel, and that's Year of Hell, which is, again, more time manipulation. Yeah. Taken to its furthest extreme where we can do it with technology.
Yeah, and it's an episode that never happened yet.
Yeah, it's an episode that never happened.
Yeah, even, so, yeah.
Which I never bought the ending of that. Like, the more I see it, the more I don't love the ending. Where like she's able to crash and Animax's ship, and it starts completely everything. I never really bought that.
Yeah, I didn't really understand how or why that worked.
It felt a little bit more like, it felt a little bit too much like you break the magic scepter and then everybody's spells wear off. I didn't really care for that. Yeah. But other than that, I loved the idea of Year of Hell.
Yeah.
And I think it was one of those things that was set up better than it was actually done.
Yeah.
Year of Hell should have been a season.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
It should have been
that would have been a dark season and a lot of fun.
Did you ever feel like, this is getting off topic, but did you ever feel like in some ways the Xindi arc was their attempt at fixing that? I mean, getting some retribution for that?
You know, honestly, I never felt that, because maybe it's because of where that Enterprise arc started.
Well, that's fair, but I just mean in the sense that, like, there are a lot of points in that season where they're in a really tough patch, when they're in like nothing's working on the ship, and it's all totally broken. Remember the globe falls from the top of the bridge, and I mean, that's great stuff.
There are a few images there that are really cool, and especially toward the end of that season, it's awesome, but there are a few things that they would do with Archer where it's like, you're really forcing him to be dark, and he doesn't have to be.
Oh yeah, that's absolutely fair. I'm just saying the idea of okay, imagine if you will, if they'd taken the Xindi arc and tried to do that in a 2-parter.
Yeah.
It's like that. It was bigger than that, and I felt like Anorax was bigger than that episode.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway,
yeah, I agree. But my favorite time anomaly episode in Voyager would definitely be Shattered.
Oh, Shattered, I think, is my favorite time anomaly episode, period.
Yeah.
Bar none. In fact, I like it better than Timescape in some ways.
Yeah, different time periods happening on different parts of the ship, and Chakotay's the only one who can run through each of them. And you meet up with Seska again, and the Borg 7 to 9 in the cargo bay. It's really cool.
It's extremely contrived, but they did everything right with it.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of fun to watch. And I mean, like, I like the older Ichev and the older Naomi Wildman, and and Chakotay doesn't have any good episodes. Mm-hmm. He hardly has any episodes.
Yeah,
and so
you
know,
it's a good,
you pretty much have Shattered, and you have Collective. Or not Collective. Is it Collective?
I thought it was the one where he's on a planet with the board.
Is that the episode? Anyway, I forget.
Yeah.
But
I thought it was called Collective, but
it's that, or it's Shattered, and Shattered is more fun than that.
Yeah.
And also just better.
And then there are other minor Chakotay episodes that are horrible, but
Tetsu. The fight. Anyway, other you got Relativity.
Yeah.
Which is fun.
Yeah.
But not as good as Shattered. Well, we're talking about time. If we're talking about just time travel.
Yeah, but Relativity is still quite good.
It's quite good. And then you have of course the episode that later spun off Relativity, which was Future's End, which I know you don't like at all.
I can't stand that
See
episode.
that face? Did you see the I don't like Future's End face? That is the same face that she gives when we talk very much about all good things. It's like
yeah, 2 episodes that a lot of people like, and I just can't stand them.
I like All Good Things better than Future's End. Yeah.
I would probably agree, but
I couldn't get behind the Rain Robinson character. It didn't really. I like the Chronoworks thing. I really loved the idea of having a Bill Gates type character who was actually kind of evil. Mm-hmm. I didn't feel like they were making. I didn't really feel like they were making a giant statement with that or anything. It was just sort of like, what if Bill Gates was actually really evil, and if he had, and if he got all of his technology from like an alien race from the future.
Yeah.
But
just nothing
anyway.
worked from that, like from me.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Really? Okay. So time travel. Are you gonna say Relativity on Voyager or?
Probably. Yeah. Yeah.
So then I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, does the Kess episode count for anything? Where she's going?
Oh yeah, I can't remember that off the top of my head right now. That is a wonderful episode where she lives her whole life and then she's old and she doesn't remember anything and then she goes backwards and then she goes all the way to being a fetus. It is great. It's the only. It's in my mind the only good Kess episode. Isn't that weird? The only good Chakotay, the only good Kess episode.
Yeah.
And that's the one that is foreshadowing. Future's foreshadowing. Year of Hell
with the Krenim. It actually mentions them quite a ways before.
And Jennifer Lean tears it up in that episode. She's amazing. That is really good stuff.
Yeah, but I'd still have to go with the 7 episode. But that's a good one
with Relativity.
With Relativity.
Yeah, but man, if we were gonna consider that to be manipulation as opposed to time travel, I'd take that even over Shattered. And I love Shattered, but it's because the thing is, it's really interesting, but it's also a pretty decent character piece. Anyway, yeah, I forgot about that one. It's excellent.
Yeah.
Enterprise.
Without
saying the entire show, because
Yeah.
pretty much the whole thing is about the temporal cold war until you get to season 4.
Yeah.
And then they get completely away from time travel, thank
Yeah.
God. But yeah, so good time manipulation and good time travel episodes for Enterprise. I'm sorry.
Good ones.
I can wait this up. Do you want me to grab my phone and play the Jeopardy theme while you're thinking?
See, naughty squared.
Again, I saw that recently and liked it better than I did the first time, but yeah, I still think Twilight's even better than E Squared.
Yeah. That's...
You gotta admit, that's a decent performance from Jillian Blaylock.
I agree, and that's one of the
And I don't
better
generally
Kess
like her,
episodes,
but the Kess...
T'Pol episodes,
right.
yeah.
They have nothing in common, by the way.
No.
No.
Short hair.
No.
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
Crickets are chirping.
They actually are. Okay, do you want some help?
Yes, I want some help.
I'm gonna say, okay, this is so weird.
Uh-huh.
In my head,
Yes.
the best time travel episode of Enterprise...
Carpenter Street. No.
No, Carpenter Street would be the worst of them. We had this joke in Star Trek Club about how much Captain Logan hates Carpenter Street. In fact, one year, years ago, we did this unit, which was the Mutiny Unit. It wasn't a unit. You remember this? It wasn't a unit where we watched episodes about mutiny. It was the unit, and I came up with this because I'm stupid, It was the unit where I decided the crew was going to mutiny, and every week they had to bring an episode to club that they wanted to watch, and whoever brought an episode, we had to watch it. But if nobody brought anything, we had to watch Carpenter Street, and if nobody brought anything every week, we had to watch Carpenter Street 4 times. Luckily, we only had to watch Carpenter Street the one time, and
Yes.
I think people called each other to make sure that week that we had to watch Carpenter Street. But anyway, getting away from that. Okay, this is so weird. Shockwave, the first part. The second part
the
is
second
terrible.
part doesn't make any sense.
No, it makes zero sense, but the first
Yeah.
part, it's such a wonderful setup. I was really impressed with it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I totally forgot about that one.
Yeah, it's cool. I like things about the Nazi thing. Some of the performances in that are pretty neat, but otherwise, the Nazi one doesn't really work because it's pretty much just there to end the typical Cold War so that Manny Koto can take the show and actually try to turn it into Star Trek.
Yeah.
And I get that, and I appreciate
It
that.
totally felt thrown together.
But it was really thrown together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
The episode in first season where Daniels first reveals himself is okay. It's pretty good. Shockwave was the follow-up to that.
Okay.
Again, would have been great had the second part actually worked, but it was bogus. What else? I mean, there's a lot. The problem is that the whole third season is pretty much a time travel episode. You know what I mean? Not that anybody is
Actually traveling through time, but
yeah, well, except for the sphere builders and stuff like
so
that.
anyone where episode where future guy appears is
Yeah, and the sphere builders. But I would say that the idea with the sphere builders in the Zinnia was great stuff, and they used time travel in a really effective and interesting way in that season. So I dug that.
yeah.
But other than that, Enterprise didn't have a great handle on time travel, mostly because, and I don't want to get into this because we've talked about it, but mostly because time travel is the reason that the shit gets launched in the first place and starts looking very different from the Star Trek that we know, but then the show never admitted to the fact that it was an alternate timeline, and that never worked for me. Had the show said, it's an alternate timeline and we're paving over the original timeline, I would have been okay with it.
Yeah.
Because then it's just a sequel show
Yeah.
that's in the 22nd century. But other than that, yeah... So, I don't know.
Yeah.
But they did way more of those than they should have.
Yes.
So okay, we've been doing this a while now. Oh,
Okay.
sorry, it's a long episode. But hey, it's been a while since we've been here, so, long
Make
episode.
it up for it.
Favorite overall. Favorite time travel episode
Oh,
overall.
Just time travel.
Yeah, unless you want to just, throw them all together and just say time whatever episodes.
I would
I don't know if I can do that.
say probably past tense.
Really? You're
Yes.
going to say past tense overall?
Yes.
Wow, because that's what I wanted to say, too.
Huh.
I think
It's
that's
a
such
really
an
good
effective episode.
Yeah, it is.
And despite the time travel, not because of it.
yes,
See,
and boy, Cisco really pulls it off. I mean, he's just awesome in that.
it's not necessarily Avery Brooks' best episode, but that's only because
But that's because there's some awesome ones.
that's only because he trumped himself a lot toward the end
Yes.
with things like Far Beyond the Stars, which is not a time travel episode. It's kind of in his mind, so that one
Yeah.
doesn't really count. But if that was actual time travel, that'd be my pick. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But things like Far Beyond the Stars and things like In the Pale Moonlight.
Which is my favorite.
Oh.
With Avery.
Absolutely.
Well, and Garrick's in it, so that
Well, hey,
automatically makes it good
That's
for
what
me.
I was going to say for time travel also,
Yeah.
believe it or not. It was past
Okay.
tense. So
I'm
I'm
glad we agree.
Yeah, so hey, well done.
Yeah.
And then, what do you want to say for time manipulation episodes?
For me, it's between Timescape and Shattered.
Yeah.
But I think I would lean more toward Timescape on that one.
And I would kind of go more toward Shattered.
The best is yet to come.
Well, hey, what do you think? What do you think about time travel episodes, time manipulation episodes? There's a lot of this going on in Star Trek. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. And if there is something you'd like to ask us for Ask the Treksperts, leave that in the comments as well. And thanks a lot for watching. I'm Captain Logan.
I'm Sarah.
We'll see you next time.